In Pokémon Black and White, some Pokémon don't just appear. They announce themselves. A rustle in the grass, a shimmer of dust, a shadow in the water. These are the phenomenons, the rarest encounters in all of Unova. So what happens when rarity becomes the rule? When every catch is 1 in 1,000. This is the Rare Encounter Run, a Hardcore Nuzlocke where every encounter has to come from a phenomenon. No randoms, no second chances. If a Pokemon faints, it's gone for good. No items in battle, no mercy from Unova. They say rare means valuable, but in battle, does rare mean powerful? Let's find out. After 15 years, I'm still waiting for a remake so I can return to the Unova region. I need it. Anyway, you're probably wondering about our starter choice as phenomenons don't appear until after the first gym, so I made a quick phone call to Nintendo and they lent me some of their magic and we can choose Ordino as our starter Pokemon. This Pokemon is known for being a B-Tech Chansey and also being the only Pokemon available in every patch of Shaking Grass ever. But to be fair, they have decent stats for this stage of the game. We beat our rivals, trash our house, get the Pokédex and some Pokeballs, and the run officially begins. In Accumula Town, we witness a Radicalist rally, but honestly, I don't care. I'm too busy vibing to the music. Just listen. We then face this random guy who has a very unique outfit and has a cool name, so he definitely won't come up later in the run for story reasons. But thankfully his cat is no match for our healer. Our bulk is just too great for this stage of the game, so we can breeze on by and reach the first gym, and as I mentioned before, we can't get any more encounters until after. So I get our Mon up to the level cap and challenge Chili. He leads with a leap up, and we outspeed and fire off a double slap that hits 3 times, bringing it to half as they set up a workup, which could be scary, but thankfully we get another 3-hit double slap and get the KO, staying at full HP. His monkey is out and sets up, and we miss our double slap. It then sets up another and we miss again. Oh lord, this isn't looking good. It sets up a third, getting up to +3, and we finally connect and do about a third. And Incinerate does a pitiful amount, but it does burn up our berry as I decide to fire off an attract. With them immobilised, we can fire off a double slap, leaving them deep in the red. They heal up, but the damage is done, as now they only have a 50% chance to move. We can bring it low and take it down, claiming our first gym badge. Now the roadblock is out of the way, we can truly get this run underway and we can get some encounters, and my god, this is when I realised how long this run would take. In the Dream Yard we can run back and forth until the long grass shakes, and then there is only a 5% chance that this will be a Musharna, and eventually we do encounter one, and this thing is a beast for this stage in the game, and I am glad we can add this to the team. Up ahead we have another run in with Team Plasma, but this is a breeze, especially the double battle as always. But that isn't the most important thing in the cave, as after picking up some repels and running around a lot, we can find a Drillbur in a dust cloud. And this thing should be a staple in everyone's Unova runs. It is a monster when it evolves. But we aren't done yet, as we can pick up a fighting type before the normal gym. Sork. Behave now. It's a decent mon, but yet again, it's amazing for this stage of the game, and this team is already looking pretty good. And with that new team member, the second gym does turn out to be a breeze. I do balls up first turn by letting Sork get intimidated, but after switching out and back in, we can OHKO the dog with a double kick. And her ace Watchhog also gets OHKO'd by a double kick, claiming the easiest badge of the run. And then after some Team Plasma thievery, we can cross the Sky Arrow Bridge and head to the Big Apple. We immediately take on Berg, and this is an interesting battle. I lead with our Psychic type against his bugs, which looks bizarre, but trust me. I put his Poison type to sleep first turn and then knock it out the next with a super effective crit Psybeam. Dwebble is out next and we miss our Hypnosis and they hit a feint attack, but it is weak. We get hit by another and then we connect, putting it to sleep, which means that we can safely fire off a Psybeam, bringing it deep into the red and burning their heal, so we can bring them low again and as they stay asleep we can get the KO. His ace Livani is out and this thing is scary. I stay in and take a razor leaf below half before putting it to sleep. They do stay asleep and a Psybeam does decent damage, but unfortunately they wake up the turn after, but just go for protect. The next turn we get brought super low and we miss our hypnosis, so I have to switch and I bring in Ordino. Thanks to Attract and a lucky paralysis from Secret Power, not even a hyper potion can save his bugs from our Ordino. And with the map opening up yet again for us, we can pick up a couple more encounters to round out our party, and that comes in the form of a Cinccino on Route 16 and an Emolga in Lost Lawn Forest. And after a nice little date with N, I'm sorry I was too shy to say anything to him, we can take on the 4th leader Elisa and her electric types. She reads me like a book first turn as I lead healer and fire off an Attract, but her Emolga outspeeds and Volt switches into her female one and our Attract doesn't work. They switch again into their other Emolga, bringing us below half, but a Secret Power does respectable damage. We take another deep into the red and get another Secret Power off into her other Squirrel. I of course have to switch and I bring in our ground type as they go for a Volt switch which does nothing. An Aerial Ace does so little as I set up a Home Claws and the next turn a Slash KOs from that range. We take down the other Emolga that get brought below half as her ace Zeb Striker comes out. They fire off a quick attack which we survive, and we fire off a stab super effective dig for the Oko. Our little mole did it. What a Chad. Sharon stops us for a battle that we breeze. Honestly, this game, I forgot how many rival battles there are. Like, I know you have 2 rivals, but it does get a little excessive. And from this point, I'll just put a nice counter, as I won't mention every time we battle them. Anyway, on the Charizard bridge, they really don't help themselves, do they? We can pick up a Ducklet, which is certainly a Pokemon. The Cowboy is usually a very difficult gym, but I have a secret weapon. Sork can Oko the Crocorock with a super effective Brick Break, and this brings in his Palpitoad. And I can switch into our new team member, Livani, who we picked up on Route 6. As they only set up an Aqua Ring, we can Oko with a Razor Leaf, bringing out his ace Excadrill. And after we do some chip, I can bring Sork back in and KO from that range with a Brick Break, easily defeating the 5th leader Clay. And after making our way through Chargestone Cave, we can destroy N. Excadrill is honestly the greatest Pokemon of all time. We can then take on the flying leader Skylar, and much like all the other gyms in this run, it is a breeze. This time we use Emolga. And at this point in the run, this is when I realised that the encounter pool is actually quite small. Like, the same Pokemon stay in the rusting grass even until the late game. Anyway, with Skylar down, we now have 6 Badgers, and we're not stopping there. The 7th leader, the Ice Specialist, was no better than Skylar. We all know Ice is one of the worst types, and after a few bulk ups, Sork can solidify that by Okoing all 3 of his Mons. The story segment then takes us to the Dragon Spiral Tower. What a cool location, by the way, and we have to take on the Plasma Gauntlet. We ace it as usual, and we can do nothing but stand there as N summons the inferior box legendary and escapes as it takes flight. We of course chase after him and follow Team Plasma to the depths of the Relic Castle, where Getsis reveals that Alder hasn't battled in years as his partner Pokemon fell deeply ill. That is the sort of deep lore that these games absolutely smashed. He tells us how to revive the other legendary, so we head to the museum and pick up the big black ball. And now it is time for the 8th and final gym against the Dragon Specialist Iris, and this is nothing like the others. On paper this is the hardest gym, but our Pokemon are up to the task. She leads Fraxture against our Duster, and we miss our attack as they set up a Dragon Dance. The next turn we still outspeed and connect with a 5-turn Tail Slap, which leaves it deep in the red. They then heal up as we connect with a Sing, putting them to sleep. We bring them low once more and they burn another potion, and then we can take it down without them even waking up. Her Druddigon is out and we miss our Sing as they go for a Dragon Tail that switches us out. I bring out Emolga and an Acrobatics does little, and their Night Slash does a fair chunk. Another doesn't bring them below half, whereas their Night Slash connects, bringing us super low but getting the static paralysis. I then Volt Switch into our fighting type, and we can stack up 3 Bull Cups and KO the dragon from that range with a Brick Break. Her ace, the menacing Haxorus, is out, but we can OHKO this beast with a +3 Brick Break, defeating the future champion and claiming the final badge of the run. We pass through the badge gate, and this one really sets the benchmark. This is the best we have seen yet, and it dawns on me. We don't even get another encounter before the end of this run, meaning this is the team we have to play with. Victory Road was annoying as always, but we do make our way through as we reach the pinnacle, and standing before us is the Pokémon League. And there is nothing more to do than pray to Arceus and head on inside, and I decide to take on the Dark type first. Grimsley is the Elite Four member that I opt for, and when he's not on holiday in Alola, he leads his battles with Scrafty. I set up a Swords Dance with Livani as they lower our accuracy, and an X-Scissor does huge damage. They heal up, but they can't out-heal our Blades of Fury as we can pick up the KO. Expecting the Aerial Ace, I bring in Excadrill, and we can OHKO with an Earthquake. The awesome Crocodile is out, and I switch into our Flying type on an Earthquake, and an Acrobatics just gets a crit and OHKOs. Holy Emolga, I was not familiar with your game. His Ace Bishop is out, and I stay in for some chip, and they bring us low, but they get paralysed, so Sork can come in and get the KO with a quad effective Brick Break. The Psychic Specialist Caitlyn is up next, and she leads with Reuniclus, and I with our Bug, who set up a Swords Dance as we get brought low, but the next turn we can fire off a super effective X-Scissor for the OHKO. Sigilith is out next, and we switch into Emolga expecting a flying move, but a Psychic does huge damage. We Volt Switch and it brings it below half, and we switch into our Steel type on a Shadow Ball that lowers our special defense. I set up a Swords Dance to secure the victory, and then KO the Flying type with a Rock Slide. I also OHKO her Musharna with an Earthquake, and her Ace Gothitelle gets the same treatment. Excadrill proving it is, and always will be, the GOAT. The Ghost type specialist is next, and the biggest hurdle here was her lead for Grigas, but I can easily dispatch the best Ghost type by setting up a Swords Dance and OHKOing with a super effective Shadow Claw, getting brought low by a Shadow Ball in the process. Chandelure is out, and thankfully they go for a Shadow Ball as we bring in Excadrill, who can outspeed and OHKO with an Earthquake the next turn. I switch into Emolga as Golurk comes in and fires off an Earthquake. I then fire off an Acrobatics that does a decent chunk before being brought below half by a Shadow Punch. I pivot into our normal type to bait the fighting move so I can bring in our Psychic type. They then outspeed, and a Shadow Punch does massive damage, and our Shadow Ball leaves it on literally 1 HP. Knowing they will heal, I go for a Hypnosis that misses, and I can't switch anything in, so I stay in, and our Quick Claw activates, and our Hypnosis connects. They're now asleep, and we can fire off a Shadow Ball that crits, bringing them super low. They heal up, curing the sleep, and our Shadow Ball brings them below half again. Now they're low, I switch into our normal type again, and then into our Bug on a resisted Brick Break. And we can KO with a Leaf Blade as we outspeed, bringing in her final Mon Jellicent. We are super low, but I go for it. And we outspeed, and a super effective Stab Leaf Blade OHKOs the Jellyfish, defeating the Ghost Girl. The final Elite Four member is Marshall, and his team is buff, man. He leads Throw, and I with our Psychic type. Their Stone Edge does little, and we miss our Hypnosis. They go for a payback as we connect, putting them to sleep. I go for a Charge Beam, does little, but we do get the boost. They stay asleep, and I fire off another, and we get another boost. At +2, a Psybeam can KO from that range, and Mienshao comes in. This thing outspeeds and does a U-turn for big damage and brings in Sork on a Psybeam that leaves it on 1 HP due to Sturdy. They heal up, and we connect with a Hypnosis, putting it to sleep. I fire off a Charge Beam for some chip damage, but they wake up and fire off a Stone Edge that thankfully misses, so we can KO the next turn with a Psybeam. His Ace is back out, so I switch into Emolga, and a U-turn is resisted, and it gets the Static Paralysis as Conkeldurr comes out. I Volt Switch into Sork, and thanks to the chip damage, we can KO with a close combat, and this brings out Mien Xiao. I bring in Livani for the KO, but it was close. Too close for my liking, but that is the Elite Four down. With the Elite Four defeated, we have to take on the champion, but as we approach, N defeats Alder, and his castle emerges from beneath the Pokemon League. Team Plasma have taken over, and the gym leaders have an Avengers moment as we progress to the pinnacle of the castle for the showdown with the King. He summons Reshiram, and we are forced to capture Zekrom, but we do not use him, and we battle the new champion. He leads with his legendary, and I with our Squirrel. We outspeed, and an acrobatics does little as we just get OHKO'd by a fusion flare. Our other rodent can come in and connect with a Sing, but then we miss our tail slap. A second one connects, bringing them below half. We bring them low before surviving a fusion flare deep in the red as a tail slap leaves them super low, literally 1 HP before we fall. We have now lost 2 rodents to this thing, and we have to do something about it. Mushana comes in as he full restores. I'm sorry, what? That is too unfair, surely. Thankfully, our Psybeam does confuse and they hurt themselves before being put to sleep. And thanks to Quick Claw and Confusion, we only get hit by 2 fusion flares and survive to pick up the KO. Absolute masterclass. His turtle is out next, and I say goodbye to our oldest Mon as our Quick Claw activates, but we miss our Hypnosis and we fall to a waterfall. Livani can come in and outspeed and leave the fossil on 1 HP with a Leaf Blade as they OHKO us with a Stone Edge. Salt can come in and I expect them to heal, so I go for a Bulk Up, but the next turn we can KO. His Steel type is out next, and after taking a Thunderbolt that paralyzes, we can OHKO with another Brick Break. His Ice type now outspeeds and we fall to a Blizzard, which is super embarrassing, but Excadrill can come in and outspeed and get a flinch with a Rock Slide, so we can take it out the next turn. And his final one is his special Zoroark, who misses a Focus Blast, so we can OHKO with an Earthquake. His final one is then his other fossil, who outspeeds but does little as we can bring them low with a Rock Slide and we can KO the next turn. Man, that was scrappy. But we beat the champion, so we beat the game, right? Wrong. Immediately after the battle, Getsis flies into a fit of rage and challenges us to a battle, and we only have 1 Mon, so there is nothing we can do. Annoyingly, our Pokemon get revived, so I have to watch them all die again, so we can go through the trauma together as I outro. This run was super fun, I have to admit. Although a more diverse pool of encounters would have been interesting, it was fun to use Numond as well as Excadrill as always. I definitely didn't complete the run as we wiped to get this, but we did beat the champion, so that counts for something, right? I thank every single one of you for watching, and if you enjoyed it, hit the like button and subscribe for more wacky Pokemon challenges. If you have anything to add or a run to suggest, let me know down below. But with all that said, stay classy and have a wonderful day.